There is a man in San Francisco who reads 4 books a month, speaks 3 languages, and cannot explain why his bank account has been the same number for 6 years. There is a woman in London, PhD in behavioral economics, who understands every cognitive bias in the literature. She also has $40,000 in credit card debt. These are not failures of intelligence. They are failures caused by intelligence. Neuroscientists have known for decades that higher cognitive ability, the capacity to reason, to model complex systems, to see patterns other people miss, does not predict financial success. In many studies, it predicts the opposite. The mechanisms are not what you think. This is not about arrogance. It is not about overconfidence. It is something far more fundamental, something operating far beneath conscious awareness. And if you consider yourself an intelligent person, you already have it. Part 1. The trap mechanism. The human brain does not treat decisions equally. Most people make financial choices the same way they choose what to eat for lunch, quickly, emotionally, with very little analysis. High intelligence individuals do not do this. They analyze, they model, they construct elaborate mental frameworks, they stress test assumptions. Researchers call this analysis paralysis, but that name undersells the damage. In a study at the University of Minnesota, participants were given a complex financial decision. The group with lower analytical scores made the choice faster and, on average, lost less money over the following year. The group with the highest analytical scores, they deliberated longer, changed their minds more frequently, and significantly underperformed. The act of overthinking was not just slowing them down, it was actively destroying value. Here is why. When you engage high-level analytical thinking, you recruit the prefrontal cortex, the brain's executive center, the seat of reason. And the prefrontal cortex has a peculiar side effect. It suppresses intuitive signals from the limbic system. Those intuitive signals include risk aversion, the awareness that this investment is wrong, the gut feeling that says stop. In trying to think their way to the best decision, intelligent people silence the warning system evolution spent millions of years building. Pattern interrupt. But analysis paralysis is the shallow end of this problem. There are 4 more mechanisms, and they get progressively darker. Part 2. Narrative bias. The second mechanism is one researchers have named narrative override. Intelligent minds are exceptional at constructing stories. When confronted with data, they don't see numbers, they see a plot. They build a narrative around why this investment will work, why this financial decision makes sense, why the pattern they've identified is real. The problem is that a compelling narrative feels exactly like evidence, and the more sophisticated the narrator, the more convincing the story, to themselves above everyone else. Bernie Madoff's clients were not stupid people. They were doctors, attorneys, former Treasury officials. They did not invest blindly. They constructed detailed internal narratives that explained why his returns made sense, why the math worked, why the strategy was sound. The story they told themselves was sophisticated. It was also completely wrong. Research by Philip Tetlock at the University of Pennsylvania found that expert forecasters, people paid to predict financial and political outcomes, were not more accurate than non-experts. In fact, the more eloquently they could explain their prediction, the more likely they were to be wrong. Explanation is the enemy of accuracy, and intelligent people are obsessive explainers. Part 3. The sophistication tax. The third mechanism has a name now: complexity bias. Intelligent individuals disproportionately favor complex solutions, not because complexity is better, but because simplicity feels like an insult to their capacity. Index funds are simple. Dollar cost averaging is simple. Spend less than you earn. Brutally, embarrassingly simple. High-intelligence investors consistently abandon these strategies in favor of options, derivatives, algorithmic trading, leveraged ETFs, crypto arbitrage, instruments that require intelligence to understand and intelligence to justify. The performance data is not ambiguous. Simple strategies outperform complex ones at every time horizon above 3 years. Warren Buffett's most famous bet was that an S&P 500 index fund would beat a hand-selected portfolio of hedge funds over a decade. He was right. It wasn't close. But here is what nobody says. The hedge fund managers were not incompetent. Most of them were brilliant, and their brilliance cost their clients 30% in underperformance. Intelligence found a way to make things complicated, and complexity has a tax. It always does. Part 4. The identity lock. The fourth mechanism is perhaps the least discussed: identity. High-intelligence individuals develop a powerful sense of self, organized around their cognitive ability. It is not just something they have, it becomes something they are. This creates a catastrophic relationship with being wrong. When a financial decision fails, the average person processes it as an event, a bad outcome, a lesson. When an intelligent person's financial decision fails, they cannot process it as an isolated event. It threatens the foundational narrative of who they are. So, instead of processing the loss, they rationalize it, they reframe it, they find the external factor that explains it, they double down. Behavioral economists call this the sunk cost fallacy. But it goes deeper than a fallacy. It is a defense mechanism, protecting something more important than money, protecting the story that their intelligence makes them capable. Admitting a bad investment is not a financial loss. It is an identity collapse, and the brain will choose financial destruction over identity collapse every time. Part 5. The escape architecture. There is a fifth mechanism, the most counterintuitive. Intelligent people know more, and knowing more means knowing more reasons why something could go wrong. They see every risk, every historical precedent, every potential failure point. This is called knowledge-based risk aversion, and it freezes people at precisely the moment action matters most. The investors who built generational wealth were not the ones who best understood market dynamics. They were the ones who were able to act despite incomplete information, to tolerate uncertainty without needing to resolve it first. Comfort with uncertainty is not a cognitive skill. It is an emotional one. And emotional intelligence has almost no correlation with analytical intelligence. They are separate systems. You can be extraordinary at one and non-functional at the other. The pattern in all 5 mechanisms is the same. Intelligence gets weaponized against its owner. The same capacity that creates the analysis, the narrative, the complexity preference, the identity, the risk awareness. It turns inward, and it becomes the obstacle. Philosophical conclusion. There is a concept in Zen philosophy called beginner's mind. The idea is simple. The expert has one answer. The beginner has many. The most financially successful people studied are not those who knew the most. They are the ones who maintained a fundamental relationship with not knowing. Who could act without certainty? Who could lose without their identity dissolving? Who could hold a simple strategy without needing to improve it? The intelligence trap is not a trap for unintelligent people. It is a trap that only intelligence can build. The question is not whether you are intelligent enough to succeed financially. The question is whether you are willing to stop using your intelligence as a reason that you should.